Back to the Steve Malzberg show. Shortly after we left the air yesterday, humongous ruling from the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which affects New York City's stop and frisk law. Now, you might recall that a judge had ruled several parts of that law unconstitutional. And, of course, there's a mayoral election in New York City next week, which we'll also get to and talk about. But the appeals court ruled that the judge who made the ruling of that parts of this law were unconstitutional did not act properly. They removed her from the case, and this has to be readdressed. A blockbuster decision, almost unprecedented. Joining us now to tell you if I'm right or not is Paul Callan, CNN legal contributor, also former New York City prosecutor. He's also a defense attorney and professor of media law at Seton Hall University. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Oh, how you doing, Steve? Always nice to be with you.
Always good to have you. Okay, so let's tell us what the court said yesterday with regard to the judge's ruling of a few weeks ago.
Well, this was a shocker, an absolute shocker of a decision, because obviously this stop and frisk decision, which is going to handcuff New York City cops and make it a lot tougher for them to fight crime, is a matter of great controversy in New York City, and there's this lawsuit that's pending, and it's up on appeal. Neither side, the city nor the plaintiffs who brought the case, asked for the removal of the judge, Judge Shira Scheindlin. And so it was a surprise to everybody when the appellate court said, you know something? She acted improperly. She probably was in violation of the Code of Judicial Ethics, and we are removing her from the case. I mean, you never hear of this happening with a federal judge. I mean, I can't say that it's absolutely unprecedented, but it's such a rare thing that you'd have to go a lot of years before you'd hear of another case of it happening. So big decision. Okay,
so yeah, talk about the panel, and this was a unanimous decision by 3 judges. They said that she acted improperly, she had a bias, she conducted improper media interviews on the subject. I mean, they really ripped her.
Yeah, they really ripped into her, and 2 of the 3 judges have sort of a liberal reputation. One of them is more on the conservative side. So it was surprising that even the liberals on the panel, or those perceived of as liberals, said, you know something, she's gone way over the line here, and they directly criticized her. Now, what they criticized were a number of things. They said, first of all, the Judge Scheindlin, had invited this lawsuit. She had another case in front of her in which there were a bunch of plaintiffs and, ACLU lawyers who were suing the New York City Police Department. And the judge apparently made a statement in court suggesting that they should bring a lawsuit and ask that it get referred to her to decide the bigger question involved, the stop and frisk question. And she said something like it would only cost you $69, or $65, which is the filing fee. Well, they quickly accommodated and filed this big, massive lawsuit against the city of New York, saying you can't use stop and frisk the way you've used it in the past. And don't you know it was assigned to Judge Scheindlin? So the appellate judges said it's totally wrong for a judge to invite that a lawsuit be assigned to her personally, because it shows, really, that she's made up her mind before the evidence has even started to be heard. They also criticized a number of other things. She gave press interviews, and I have to say, the federal judges in particular are, it's a real private club. They're appointed by the President of the United States. She was appointed by Bill Clinton, I believe, and they're appointed for life. They're removable generally only on impeachment, and you don't see them get criticized, but they don't give press interviews for the most part. But she gave a press interview while this case was pending, and she said specifically about the government, meaning the city of New York and the U.S. Attorney's Office. She said, I'm not their favorite judge. And she said, I think I treat the government only as one more litigant. And she went on to say basically that she doesn't give them any deference, and she kind of suggested and hinted that she's very tough on the government. Now, judges are supposed to be unbiased. There may be cases where they're tough on the government, but there may be cases where they're tough on the person who's suing the government. They're supposed to make up their mind based on the facts before them and not have a preconceived notion going into the case. And I think the court was very, very disturbed that she had given this interview to the Associated Press, suggesting a sort of a biased attitude against the government going into the case.
We're talking to Paul Callan, criminal defense attorney, CNN legal analyst, former New York City prosecutor, professor of media law at Seton Hall University. Let me ask you, so where, legally speaking, does it go from here? I mean, who appoints a new judge? When does this happen? Where is and what could this new judge do? I mean, does the new judge rehear? Is there a new trial, or does the new judge just look at the decision by the judge who's been ousted and make adjustments to that ruling? How does it work?
Well, lawyers are scratching their heads about this and what the ultimate impact will be. It's going to be assigned to a new judge. And as a matter of fact, I saw a piece this morning as I was headed into the office that the assignment was expected to be made this morning. I think it may already have been made. And the way it's done, Steve, is the way it's supposed to be done is they just put the names of all the judges, in a box, and they pull one out. It's a random selection. So we don't, I don't know who it's been assigned to, but I do know this, that the court said the only thing we're deciding is that Judge Scheindlin is inappropriate for this case and we need a new judge. But what that says to me, if the appellate court has said she's inappropriate because she made up her mind, she made statements that were improper and demonstrated bias against the government, how can that not be a very strong hint that her decision has to be reversed? I mean, how could the appellate court, after removing her for bias, uphold a decision that's made by the biased judge?
Right. So leaving it to a new judge, what does that say?
Well, it says to me that this is a very strong hint that if this case goes up now to the full court for a full appeal, it's going to be reversed. It hasn't been reversed yet, but I think there's a strong hint that it would be reversed.
Now,
but
yeah.
Let me throw one other thing into the mixer.
Yeah.
We're going to have a new mayor in New York
That's exactly
City.
what I was going to say. The new mayor, Bill Thompson, if he comes in, the Democrat who is dead set against stop and frisk.
Well, not Bill Thompson. A lot of people.
Bill de Blasio. I'm sorry, Bill de Blasio. And he could just put a stop to this whole thing by taking away the appeal, and then Scheinblum, the original judge's ruling would stand.
That's right. Scheindlin, if de Blasio comes in and says we're withdrawing the appeal, Scheindlin's ruling would stand. So it'll be, and de Blasio has already issued a public statement saying that he's very disappointed and upset with the appellate court's ruling. So I think there's no question that he'll instruct his corporation counsel to withdraw the appeal. But maybe the case gets fast-tracked also. The appellate court, knowing this might happen, maybe they fast-track the appeal and have it decided under the Bloomberg administration. It's going to be very interesting to see what these judges do.
Right, because Bloomberg is still in there until probably, I don't know if it's January 1st.
January.
Yeah, January 1st, yeah. Whatever. All right, well, we're certainly going to keep an eye on this. And, of course, Police Commissioner Kelly and Mayor Bloomberg were very, very pleased with the ruling by the court yesterday. Something else before I let you go, Paul, and this just struck me. I mean, nobody is a bigger advocate of freedom of speech than I, or than me. I don't know why I said I. But a Texas court of criminal appeals struck down a law yesterday that banned sexually explicit Internet communications between an adult and a minor. Now,
yes.
I don't get that at all, because I don't think you can have that kind of communication in person legally. Or maybe you can. You tell me. So talk about this crazy decision.
Well, this is the Texas court, and I have to say, you don't expect a sort of liberal approach from the Texas court. I mean, they impose the death penalty probably more than any other court in America, and generally are very conservative in their views. But let me put on my professor of media law hat for a minute, and you and I might have a disagreement on this. The courts are very, very strict about any statutes that restrict free speech, and when they look at a statute that restricts speech content, they look at it in its broadest possible context. In other words, they are not just looking at the guy who's sending sort of quasi-pornographic speech to a child and saying, should that be criminalized? They're looking at, and as a matter of fact, they cite in the decision plays written by Shakespeare, in which there's certain language that it might be inappropriate to send over the internet to a child. They refer to 50 Shades of Grey, which of course has been a popular pop novel that includes a lot of pornographic phrases.
Right.
So if the law is so broad that it might in fact criminalize the publication of works like that, they say we can't accept that statute.
Right, but let me ask you a question. I mean, I see here also that an attorney representing the Texas man who represented a 53-year-old accused of sending sexually explicit text messages to a teen said parents have the job of dealing with this. It's not the government's job. Keep track of who your kids are communicating with. Well, then what about bullying? I mean, then why should why should kids or parents ever be held responsible for their kids who cyberbully?
Well, that's a great point. And don't get me going on bullying because
I mean, I just think I think it's way overreach with this bullying stuff.
Listen, we need some protection in the bullying area, but you know something, a lot of growing up involves learning how to deal with bullies.
Yeah.
And you kind of send kids into the world unarmed when we try to create this little perfect world for them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Which we can't do. And so, but on the other hand, of course, bullying's hit a new level with the internet because you can really trash a kid in a way that didn't exist when you and I were growing up.
True, but you could also, you could also reach a kid with perverted, sexual.
Well, that's quite true too. There are all kinds of dangers out there that exist now that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
But getting back to that question, and it's a good one. Parents have a responsibility in the bullying area as well, and but it's very, very hard for them to prosecute parents for the action of a child when they don't know specifically what the child is doing.
Gotcha.
So, and we all have great parents. Sometimes have kids who get in trouble, and the other way around.
Absolutely. Paul, have a great weekend. Thanks for your opinions, your expertise, and enjoy talking to you as always.
Always nice being with you, Steve.
Thank you. Paul Callan, ladies and gentlemen, CNN legal analyst, former New York City prosecutor, defense attorney now, professor of media law at Seton Hall University. Very interesting indeed, especially the stop and frisk. So basically the race is on. The race is on to get this through the courts before Bill de Blasio, who presumably will be the next mayor of New York City, can stop this and let that, according to the judge's decision yesterday, that biased decision remain in effect. 877 Newsmax, 877-639-7629. Steve Malzberg, Newsmax TV and Radio.